In this video, I'm going to walk you through our GPT Starter Pack that they provide to all customers that are rolling out ChatGPT, Teams or Enterprise, and give you some ideas and inspiration for how these GPTs can really accelerate every single one of your employees' adoption of AI, getting them to think about this in a different way. So firstly, what is a GPT? Well, if we think about a prompt as a single usage of ChatGPT, you go to ChatGPT, you type in your question, how do I do this? Can you help me think through that? Much in the same way that you might have gone to Google or other search engine to ask a single question in the past. With a GPT, we can think about more repeated usage. Now, that's either you going to do a repeating task every day, week, or month, or other people that also have the same task that they're also trying to complete. So this could be either internal users, your employees, your managers, your senior executives, or it could be external, your customers, prospects, suppliers that have got repeated tasks. And what makes that GPT different from a single usage prompt is that we're going to provide it with some custom instructions about how we want that GPT to run and some custom knowledge which maybe provides some background to this task. So let me bring it to life by giving you a couple of examples. Every single employee has got a manager, or they should have, and every single employee should be having regular meetings and one-to-ones with their managers. Now, any good manager should be saying, this is your meeting, it's for you to drive it, it's for you to walk through what's top of mind and how I can best help you as a supportive leader. But for many employees, they don't really know what to do with that information. What does it mean to own that meeting? And instead, it ends up with a lot of random updates and walking through the tasks that you completed in the previous week or so. So with the one-to-one prep coach, we're going to provide each of your employees with someone that they can talk through and plan these one-to-ones. So let me dive across into my other screen here and go into the Prep Coach GPT. So this is for an employee to use to help think through their upcoming one-to-one. Now, one of the great things about a GPT is that we can provide these conversation starters. For so many of us, as we start using AI fully, it's the tyranny of this blank box. Ask anything. Well, I don't know what to ask. So here we can provide for each GPT some things to get them started. Help me plan for my next one-to-one. Well, that is the question that I'd like to ask because I've got my meeting coming up next week. And the GPT is trained on, as I mentioned, these custom instructions and the knowledge about how we want to guide this employee through planning for it. Thanks for reaching out to prepare for your next one-to-one. This is your meeting, not your manager's. This session will help you to make the most of it. We're going to work through reflecting on what's going well, what's been challenging, identifying topics that you want to discuss, clarify what support, feedback, or decisions you need, and drafting an agenda. You can expect to spend around 15 to 20 minutes on this exercise. And by the end, you'll walk away with a clearer sense of what matters most to you and how to lead it with confidence. Let's begin. What's the context for your upcoming one-to-one? Well, I'm just going to role play here. I use a tool called Whisper Flow to talk to my input boxes. So I'm going to do that rather than typing. I'm preparing for my one-to-one with my manager next week. I am coming up towards my annual performance review, and I want to use this opportunity to start planning for my next role. Whilst I've been working in the marketing team, I would like to start considering moving into a customer support role and a leadership role within that team. So can you help me to start thinking through how I raise this with my manager and start planning this important career move? So that could be an example, and I'm just going to hit return. And we'll just see the next cycle here. That's a fantastic intention. Using your one-to-one to start the conversation shows real initiative. Let's break it down into manageable steps. Starting point, framing the conversation with some examples of how we might handle that conversation. Now, of course, the actual employee would continue going through this process and maybe even role playing and coming up with an agenda that they can start sharing with their manager. So that's one example. Another that I want to show you is about a coach. So having a great coach or a mentor that can talk you through some of the more challenging things in your role is a really important aspect. And with this GPT, we've provided the background to a great coaching session using some of the framework from the book, The Coaching Habit. So here, as an example, I've got something on my mind, or I need help thinking through a decision, or I'm stuck and I'm not sure why. Well, let's go with that. I'm stuck on something and I'm not sure why. It's a completely fair place to start. Feeling stuck often points to something important. Want to say more about that and what's making it feel that way? Yeah, I've been in my role for a couple of years, and whilst I really enjoy my job, I've got a challenging situation with my manager. Whilst I'm sure they've got my best interests at heart, we just don't seem to gel, and I just don't feel that we've got the best working relationship. I want to start to think through how I can resolve that. As we remember, people don't leave companies, they leave bosses, and they don't really know who to speak to about that. So this is a very typical scenario. Thanks for sharing that. Sounds like you're in a role you value, but the relationship with your manager is creating some friction that's hard to ignore. Let's stay with that for a moment. What's happening between you and your manager that makes you feel the relationship isn't working well? I'm not going to go through this entire coaching session, but this GPT has been built around helping to guide that individual through that without providing advice, without providing specific direction, but to help the individual to think through their situation. Because often, as we know, in a good coaching situation, it's the coachee that has the answer, not the coach. The coach is there just to tease it out. So those are two examples of GPTs that do not need to be customized for you, for your company, for your industry. These are things that are valuable to any individual, and they start to get every member of your team thinking of ChatGPT not just as an answer machine, give me the answer, research this account, but write this email, but actually someone that can help them to challenge their thinking and think through. So with that, let's have a think about some of the GPTs that we provide in the starter pack that you'll get out of the box, but also give you some ideas of GPTs you might want to create yourself. So I look at it at 4 different levels. The first is the level of an employee. Everyone is an employee. Even the CEO is an employee of the company. And every employee has to plan their week. They need to reflect on their week. They need to prepare for their one-to-ones with their manager, as we talked about there. They need to be writing prompts in the new AI world. So think through all of the things that are not even job specific, but they are just human specific, employee specific that you can create GPTs for. Then you go upper level to a role or a department, and you can think about specific GPTs here in the context of these 3 dimensions: policies that govern that role or department's work, the processes that they follow to do their work, and the documents or templates that they use within their work as well. And this is very specific on each department. So that could be R&D, it could be finance, it could be HR. You might have it by different countries or business units. And so you can easily see here how suddenly you've got 50, 60, 100 different GPTs for these individual dimensions. Then we go up one further to a manager. Of course, a manager is an employee themselves, but they've also got direct reports. And so they're planning for their one-to-ones with their direct reports, but in a different context. How do I provide guidance? How do I provide challenging feedback? How do I provide leadership? How do I coach this individual? How do I run a great hiring process and set objectives and tasks for my team? And then we go up a level further to the senior executives, the C-suite and the C-1. Here we're talking about defining corporate strategy. We're talking about setting our objectives and key results or any other kind of goal setting framework that you're working with. We've got to public speak internally with our company, running all hands or speaking to investors or customers. We're thinking about mergers and acquisitions and assessing companies or handling fundraising. So these are the specific tasks that make great GPTs for your organization there. So let's just go through these in each tier and give you some examples. So every single employee has to plan their week and they have to reflect on their week. So we provide you with a weekly planner and reflection GPT with typical questions like, help me plan my week, help me reflect on the week just gone. We provide you with the quiet coach that we talked about there. Help me think through this problem. I'm stuck and I don't know why. The one-to-one planner that we looked at, help me prepare for my manager one-to-one so that I can own that meeting. And getting everyone, now that they've got an idea of a GPT, starting to think about AI in their own role. Help me uncover ways that AI can support me in my role. For the individual roles, we've got a number of these GPTs to provide in the starter pack, but you will customize these based on your own company, industry, and the country that you're working in. But these will give you a starter framework that you can start to customize. So think about processes. So generally accepted accounting practices. How should we record this transaction? Think about your internal processes. We need to close the book. So can you help me as a financial analyst to close those books? Board meeting prep. I need to provide information to our executives. Can you help me to prepare the board pack documents? And then also think about other teams that have to interact with your team and are always asking the same question. In finance, you have got an expenses policy. So instead of getting people to keep emailing you, can I expense this? Can I expense that? Create a GPT to give to other teams. Now, this example can be replicated for every other team or division. Think about policies, think about processes, think about templates and documents that you need to create. Next up, for managers, thinking about them, planning our team strategy for the quarter, for the year, help me develop our team plan. They indeed need to create their own goals. Maybe you're following OKRs or V2MOM or some other format of goal setting. Help me write an aspirational yet achievable OKR for my team. They're always hiring. So planning great interviews. Help me prepare for a candidate interview. And then the reverse of the one-to-one example that we looked at earlier. Provide me with some role playing so that I can provide some challenging feedback to one of my direct reports. And then for those leaders, the strategy planning, maybe you follow great books like Playing to Win or Good Strategy, Bad Strategy. Well, help me to consider our global strategy and interact with the GPT for that. We talked about OKRs. Help me write an aspirational yet achievable OKR for our company. I need to prepare for our next all-hands call, so a public speaking coach, or help me assess the potential of this acquisition target and think through some of the topics, especially if it's the first time that you've done that. So having taken these starter pack GPTs and deployed them into your ChatGPT team or enterprise account, you can then share them either company-wide or with individual groups. For example, those executive-focused ones, M&A and strategy, you don't want to share that with the entire company. But having determined who you're going to share it with, people are then able to find those from within your Explore GPTs button in ChatGPT. And this is what it would look like. Within my account, I want to be able to, I can find the quiet coach, the prep coach, the weekly planner. I can click on those and start a conversation. Hope that is helpful and gives you some inspiration either for GPTs that you can create yourself or have a chat with me and we can get these starter pack rolled out into your own instance of ChatGPT team or enterprise. Just go to charliecowan.com, charliecowan.ai, get in touch and I'll be happy to help you.